David was exhausted with trying to win his first Chapter 4 Fortnite game. His children would often mock him and make fun of his poor performance. On the outside, David didn't seem to mind, but on the inside, he was in pain. David had been playing for 2 hours when he noticed something horrible happening in the lobby. An innocent gingerbread lady was being pickaxed by a toxic group. David went over to help her, but the gingerbread lady ran away. Little did David know that he and the gingerbread lady were destined to meet again. David floated around until he found an attractive-looking castle, which he could loot all by himself. Unfortunately, somebody else had landed at his private castle. Fortunately for David, this character seemed to be even worse at Fortnite than him. After a brief exchange in the castle hallway, David eliminated this naive, overly aggressive noob with very little effort. 1 kill on the board gave David a much-needed injection of confidence. This confidence boost gave David the courage to leave his private castle and chase after his next prey. With eagerness, David fired his primal flamebow towards the now petrified player. Then, to David's surprise, another player arrived on the scene and helped David bully this timid Fortnite noob into submission. His final resting place was a rock, with his loot floating down the river. If David could get to 3 kills, he could finally prove himself to his children that he is no longer a Fortnite noob. 3 kills would be the equivalent of Mbappe scoring a hat-trick in the World Cup final. But unlike Mbappe, David's hat-trick would win this match. With some of the best building he had ever produced, David hounded out his next victim. Then it became a Mexican standoff inside the petrol station shop. Would a shopkeeper save him, or would his pro gamer skills finally emerge? Suddenly, David got excited and he sprung a surprise attack. The excitement was too much as he failed to properly use his shotgun. A lucky shot to his opponent's ankle was enough to finally eliminate him from the game and edge David closer to a victory royale. David then proceeded to blow up a gas can to send a message to the rest of the lobby. David then took some time out to reflect on some of his finest Fortnite moments. David composed himself and then set about eliminating more players. First up was a wildly mindless player who had left himself exposed. Luckily for him, David's aim wasn't up to scratch. David instantly regretted his cowardly third-party attack and retreated to a place of safety inside the gas station. It seemed nobody was coming for revenge, so David retreated further back to the gas station shop. Some crazy player then emerged and David proceeded to blast him to pieces. For reasons only he will know, David then drove around a little in an abandoned truck. This flushed out the rat that was hiding. A sneaky shot then landed on David's torso before he made the decision again to tactically withdraw. He hid behind a tree. Now he was in big trouble. This was too much for David. He was low on health. And he managed to escape in true style using his shockwave hammer. This rogue enemy was determined to stop David's victory royale and force David to shockwave away. The med mist was refreshing, and his wounds soon turned to fresh, healthy skin. This area was quiet and peaceful, and gave David time to think about how his first Chapter 4 win could change his life. He looked and saw a rather attractive female NPC. He made his way to her, and she offered to stay by his side until the end of the game. After a small financial transaction, Halsey was now David's partner. David wanted to simply hide in a bush, Inconveniently, Halsey had other ideas. "Come on, David! We're here to shoot people, not hide in a bush!" David didn't want to appear like a coward in front of his new friend. He led the way towards the final two players. David was scared, but the opportunity to third-party his way to victory was too much to ignore. David came across a chug cannon and had a major dilemma. He had regularly seen the YouTuber Dan D use a chug cannon in games, but he also knew the damage he could do with his primal flame bow. Inspired by Dan D, he opted for the chug cannon. David was scared, but the opportunity to third-party his way to victory was too much to ignore. He fired in with his scar, causing damage to both the remaining players. Halsey shouted to David, "Go for it!" So off he went, determined to steal the victory royale from right under their noses. But things did not go to plan. Halsey failed to actually help David and seemed to be no more than a distraction as the opposition fired shots into David's body. David began to wish he'd stayed in that bush and never hired Halsey to help him. The chug cannon kept David alive for a little longer. Halsey was still alive. All the sounds scared David and Halsey, and David ran for the tree, leaving Halsey there. Halsey sustained some serious damage. David began to regret taking the chug cannon as it took so long to recharge. And eventually David was distraught as Halsey was eliminated from the game. Now he had to get the win, not just to impress his kids, but out of respect to his former Fortnite partner, Halsey. The horrible noises around him made him run around for a place to hide. He waited inside for the chug cannon, and then suddenly he heard a horrible loud thud. "Wait it out," he said to himself. And then suddenly, he heard a horrible loud bang, and the last player unleashed her shotgun into his back. David finally saw his last enemy. It was the same gingerbread lady he had earlier tried to befriend in the lobby. But this time she had simply eliminated him.